The crash, she fell from the sky. It was a cold and quiet night in the forest. The wind moved slowly between the trees, and the moonlight covered everything in silver. John Carter sat alone in his small wooden cabin, deep inside the woods. He was a quiet man, a scientist who left the city many years ago. He liked silence. He liked being alone. But that night, something broke the silence. A loud boom echoed across the sky. It was like thunder, but different, deeper, stronger. The ground shook. Birds flew out of the trees, crying in fear. John stood up fast, his heart beating hard. "What was that?" he whispered. He stepped outside and looked up. A bright, burning light was falling from the sky. It moved fast, like a shooting star, but bigger, much bigger. It crashed somewhere not far from his cabin, followed by a second explosion. Smoke rose in the distance. John didn't think twice. He grabbed his flashlight and a small bag of tools, and started walking toward the crash site. After walking through the thick trees for about 10 minutes, he saw it. A spaceship. It was half buried in the ground, its metal body glowing with heat. Strange symbols were written on the side, shining softly in blue light. The ship was broken in many places, smoke and sparks coming out of it. It didn't look like anything from Earth. John stepped closer, careful but curious. His scientist's mind was racing. This was real. This was first contact. Suddenly, a weak sound came from inside the ship. A voice. Someone, or something, was alive inside. John climbed over a broken part of the ship and looked inside. He froze. There she was. A woman. She was lying on the floor, breathing heavily. Her skin was pale, with strange blue patterns glowing under the surface, like moving light. Her hair was silver, long and tangled. She looked human, almost, but not fully. Her eyes opened slowly. They were bright violet. She looked at him, and then she spoke. "Human, please," she whispered. "Make me your slave." John blinked, confused. "What?" She tried to get up but collapsed again, groaning in pain. Her body was shaking. Her arms had long burns and deep cuts. She was injured badly. "Make me your slave," she said again, her voice weaker now. "It's the law." John didn't understand. Why would an alien beg to be a slave? But he saw the pain in her eyes. She wasn't joking. She was broken, ashamed, and afraid. He carefully stepped inside, knelt beside her, and checked her pulse. It was fast, but steady. She was alive, but not for long if he didn't help. "Okay," he said slowly. "I'll help you, but I won't treat you like a slave." Her lips moved in a soft smile. "You must say it," she whispered. "Say you own me, or I'll die." John hesitated, but then nodded. I own you now." The woman closed her eyes. A strange collar around her neck blinked once in green light. Then she passed out. John carried her back to his cabin. It was not easy. She was light, but the forest was thick and dark. Still, he managed to get her home and lay her gently on a small bed. He cleaned her wounds with warm water. Her blood was dark blue. Her skin healed quickly, faster than any human. John stared in surprise. What kind of creature was she? She woke up once during the night, whispering in her strange language. Then she slept again. John didn't sleep at all. He kept checking her pulse, her breathing, and the strange lights under her skin. He connected his computer to a small alien device he found in her pocket. The symbols started translating. Slowly, he read the words: Silura, Battle Class, Omega, Mission Failed. Surrender Protocol, Slave Mode, Active, Slave Mode. John leaned back, shocked. This woman wasn't just an alien. She was a warrior, and now, by some alien law, she believed she belonged to him. As the sun rose, light filled the cabin. The woman opened her eyes again. She looked at John. There was pain in her face, but also peace. "My name is Silura," she said. John nodded. "I'm John. I lost the war," she whispered. "Now, I am yours." John felt a chill run through his body. He didn't want a slave. He didn't want power. But something told him this was just the beginning. Outside the cabin, deep in the forest, the wrecked ship blinked once and went silent. John sat by the small fire in his cabin. Outside, the forest was quiet again, as if nothing had fallen from the sky the night before. But inside, everything had changed. Silura, the alien woman, lay wrapped in a thick blanket on his bed. Her breathing was calm, her violet eyes closed. The strange collar around her neck still blinked softly, pulsing with green light. John couldn't stop looking at her. She looked peaceful now, but he couldn't forget her words. Make me a slave, or I'll die. Who says something like that, and why? She wasn't just strange. She was dangerous. The data from her ship said she was some kind of warrior. Or worse. Suddenly her eyes opened. Bright, clear, focused. You said the words, she whispered. John nodded slowly. I said them to save your life. You claimed me, she said. By my people's law. That makes you my master now. He stood up, uncomfortable. I don't want to be anyone's master. She sat up, the blanket falling from her shoulders. Underneath, she wore a black suit, half burned from the crash. Her skin had strange marks, glowing like soft electricity. You already are, she said calmly. But don't worry. I will not harm you. I swore loyalty when the collar activated. John stared at the collar. It looked ancient and alien, but it was clearly important. What happens if I remove that thing? He asked. Her face turned cold. You must not, ever. The collar holds back the worst part of me. He narrowed his eyes. What do you mean? She looked down. When I was a soldier, I was trained to kill without emotion. When we lose in battle, we are forced into slave mode. It limits our power and gives control to our conqueror, to stop us from destroying everything around us. You're saying the collar stops you from going mad? She nodded. Yes, without it, I might return to what I was. John felt a chill. She continued. But there are rules. I may be your slave, but I still have a voice. John raised an eyebrow. What kind of rules? Salura leaned forward, speaking carefully. I must follow your commands, but only if they do not break my core laws. No harm to innocent life. No suicide. No betrayal of bonded master, unless master breaks the bond by force. That sounds like programming, John muttered. It is part of our biology, she said. We are not machines, but our minds are shaped by code. John rubbed his forehead. I didn't ask for this. Salura looked at him. You didn't choose this, but now it is yours. I offer you my strength, my skill, my protection. You saved me. Let me serve you. He sighed. What exactly can you do? She stood, slowly stretching. Her movements were smooth, graceful, like a dancer trained in war. I can track life forms from miles away. I can hear sounds outside your human range. I can fight faster than most machines. My blood heals quickly. I learn languages in hours. And I can kill with my hands if I must. John looked at her carefully. But you don't want to kill anymore, do you? Her face softened. No, I'm tired of death. They sat in silence. For a moment, John finally spoke. Okay, if you stay, you're not a slave to me. You're my guest. We survived together. Salura tilted her head. Strange. Kindness. You humans still surprise me. John smiled a little. Get used to it. She walked toward the window and looked out at the forest. They'll come for me soon. Who? My people, or enemies of my people, I don't know. But someone will follow the wreckage. John frowned. How much time do we have? Maybe days, she said. Maybe less. We'll hide the ship, John said. And I'll study its data. Maybe we can find answers. She turned to him. You're smarter than I expected, John. He grinned. You don't survive alone in the woods for 5 years without learning a thing or two. Suddenly, Salura flinched. Her hand touched the collar. What is it? John asked quickly. The ship's emergency beacon just activated. Someone received the signal. John stood up fast. Can you shut it down? She shook her head. Not anymore. It's locked. And calling others, he cursed. Then we move now. Salura nodded. Yes, and master, don't call me that, John interrupted. Just call me John. She smiled faintly. As you wish. They both stepped out into the fresh air. The forest was calm. For now, but far away, in the stars, something had started. 3 days had passed since the crash. The wrecked ship was now buried under branches and earth. John worked day and night to cover it, while Salura helped quietly, watching the skies and listening to the wind. But she was changing. Each day, she looked stronger. Her wounds had vanished. The glow under her skin pulsed brighter. Her voice was calmer, but her eyes held storms. She no longer looked like someone who needed saving. She looked like someone who could destroy everything. That morning, John sat inside his cabin, staring at the alien device connected to his laptop. It was slowly translating the ship's data logs. The process was slow. The language was complex, like living code. Then something appeared on the screen. Subject: Salura Vex. Classification: Executioner class. Status: High risk, bioweapon. Emotional dampeners, unstable. Emergency mode: Slave control. Active. John leaned back in his chair, his face pale. Executioner. He thought she was just a soldier. But this was worse. She wasn't trained to fight in war. She was trained to end wars. She had killed on command. Not out of hate. Not even choice. Just programming. He looked over at her. She was standing near the fire outside, sharpening a long metal rod she found in the forest. She moved with strange grace, like her body had memorized battle. John stepped outside. "We need to talk," he said. Salura looked up, eyes narrowing slightly. "You found the files?" "Yes," he replied. "Executioner class." She stood still. "I was chosen for that role at birth. Trained in zero emotion. Sent only where peace could not exist. Only where death was needed." John took a breath. "How many?" She looked away. "Too many." Silence. Then she added, "I never had a name until my first kill. Salura means silent fire. I earned it after a mission where no one survived. Not even the air." John felt a chill. She wasn't telling this to scare him. She was just telling the truth. "I'm not afraid of you," he said. "You should be," she answered softly. "The collar controls my mind, but it's not perfect. If it breaks, I become the weapon." Again, John nodded slowly. "Then we keep the collar safe. We figure out how it works. And maybe, one day, we remove it the right way." She looked surprised. "You would free me. If I can trust the real you." "Yes," she studied him. "Most would use me. You're different, John." Before he could respond, a beep came from inside the cabin. The computer had finished another translation. John ran to it. New message. Warning. Sleeper protocol detected. Countdown. Active. Location. Crash core. Vault. John's fingers froze. What sleeper protocol? Salura stepped in behind him, reading the screen. Her face changed. "No," she whispered. "They left it inside me." "What is it?" She swallowed hard. "Sleeper protocol is a hidden weapon. If I die, or if I resist orders for too long, the system activates. A signal is sent to destroy everything around the crash site." John's heart dropped. "Like how much?" "City level," she said flatly. "Possibly more. Depends on the power core." John stood quickly. "Where is it?" "In the vault," she said. "Inside the ship. Only my handprint can open it." He grabbed his jacket. "We shut it down." Now they rushed through the trees to the hidden ship. The vines and leaves covering it made it look like part of the forest. But John's pulse quickened as he approached. Salura touched a glowing panel on the side. It scanned her hand. The door opened with a hiss. They entered. The inside was dark and cold. Strange lights blinked along the walls. Alien voices whispered from old recordings. John followed her through the narrow hallway until they reached the vault. She placed her hand on another panel. The door slid open slowly. Inside was a glowing sphere. The sleeper core. Blue light circled around it like a heartbeat. Suddenly, the voice of the ship's AI echoed through the chamber. "Welcome back, Executioner. Protocol awakening. In progress. Countdown. 72 hours. John's eyes widened. It started. Salura stared at the sphere. "I have to stay alive, or shut it down manually. Can you?" "No," she said. "Not without triggering the failsafe. It's locked to my DNA." John stepped back. "So we're trapped." She turned to him. "No, there's another way." "What?" She looked at him. "No fear, just calm. You must fully claim me." John frowned. "What do you mean?" She pointed to the collar. "The final level of the bond. If you activate it, the ship will recognize you as my superior. You'll gain command override. And if I do that, you control me completely. Body, mind, everything." John hesitated. Was this still about survival, or something deeper? He looked into her eyes. "I'll do it," he said. "But only to stop the explosion. And only if you're okay with it." Salura smiled. "You still ask permission. That's why I chose you." She knelt before him, her voice steady. "Give the command, John. Let this world live." The forest was no longer silent. Birds had vanished. The wind felt heavy. Even the sunlight looked wrong, like something was watching from above. John felt at first a pressure in his chest, like the air had thickened. He stepped outside his cabin, scanning the trees. Salura stood behind him, perfectly still. "They're close," she said. John turned. "Who?" She didn't answer right away. Her eyes were glowing again, brighter than before. "Someone," answered the beacon. She whispered. "And they didn't come to help me." The sleeper core still pulsed inside the buried ship. Salura had refused to let John activate the final command bond. Not yet. We have time, she had said, but not much. That time was now running out. Suddenly, a soft hum broke the silence. It came from the sky. John looked up. A sleek black drone glided over the treetops. It was unlike any Earth technology, silent, sharp, and alive. Its body shimmered like liquid metal. It's a scout, Salura said. They're searching for me. Your people. No, she said firmly. These are hunters. John's stomach turned. What do they want? To capture me, she said. And use what's inside me. The executioner program, the power core, the DNA lock. They want control of everything. The drone hovered, then shot off into the trees. John grabbed a small tracker device from his desk. I can follow it. Salura's hand stopped him. You shouldn't. They're not human. You won't make it back. I have to try, John replied. If they find the ship, they won't, she interrupted. Because I'll go first. Before he could argue, she was gone, moving like a shadow. Fast and silent through the woods. An hour later, John followed the tracker deeper into the forest. The signal pulsed red on his screen, faster and faster. He stopped at the edge of a clearing. What he saw made him freeze. Salura stood in the center of the clearing, facing three figures in black armor. They were tall, their bodies covered in plates that shifted like living stone. Their faces were hidden by silver masks. They carried long weapons that bent the light around them. One of them spoke in a deep, echoing voice. Unit 17. Salura Vex. Status. Collared. Weak. Surrender. Salura didn't move. You should not have come here, she said. The second hunter replied. The core belongs to us. Your body is property of the Void Court. Submit, and you will not be erased. She laughed once, soft and bitter. That's a lie. The third hunter raised its weapon. John's body tensed. He reached for the small blaster Salura had given him. Alien tech. But simple enough to fire once. Before he could act, Salura attacked. She moved like lightning, her body twisting through the air. Her foot struck the ground, and a shockwave exploded through the clearing. The first hunter flew backward into a tree, armor cracking. The second hunter fired, but she was already behind him, her elbow crashing into his neck, sending sparks across the leaves. The third tried to run. She reached him in 2 steps, and drove him into the dirt. John watched in awe. She was holding back, not killing, just disabling. When it was over, all 3 hunters lay unconscious. But something was wrong. Salura stepped back, breathing hard. Her hands shook. The collar around her neck flickered red for a moment. John ran to her. Are you okay? No, she said. The collar is cracking. The power is fading. He looked at it. Tiny lines were glowing beneath the surface. What happens if it fails? She didn't answer. Instead, she knelt beside one of the hunters and pulled off his helmet. The face beneath was not human. Gray skin, hollow eyes, no mouth. Biotech soldiers, she said, cloned from dead systems. Mindless, programmed only to hunt. She reached into its armor and pulled out a crystal. It pulsed with red light. They'll keep coming, she said. This one sent a signal. John looked at the trees. We can't fight a whole army. No, she said, but we can run. To where she stood. To the mountains. I know a cave system deep enough to block signals. We'll hide, repair the collar, plan our next move. John nodded. Let's move now. Before they left, he looked back at the fallen hunters. A chill ran down his spine. They were just scouts. If they could find her so easily, what else was out there? As they disappeared into the trees, the sky behind them darkened slightly, as if something high above had taken notice. Far away, beyond Earth's orbit, a dark ship floated in silence. Inside, thousands of silver-eyed clones stood in lines. Asleep, a voice echoed in the dark. Target acquired. Asset awakened. Prepare collection unit. Back on Earth, deep under the soil, the sleeper core blinked once, now pulsing twice as fast. The cave was cold and quiet. John and Salura sat deep inside the stone walls, where no signal could pass through. The flickering campfire gave the only light, casting long shadows on the rough floor. Salura sat with her back against the wall, eyes closed, hands resting on her knees. Her body was still, but the light under her skin pulsed like a warning light. Her collar flickered yellow now, no longer stable. John watched her from across the fire. He held the small control disk in his hand, a smooth metal device, no larger than a coin. If he pressed the center, it would activate the final bond. He would become her full master. He could command her thoughts, her actions, her very will. But he hadn't pressed it. Not yet. She opened her eyes. "You're thinking too loud," John smirked. "Guess you can hear my fear." "I don't hear fear," she said. "I hear doubt." John turned the disc in his fingers. "That's fair. I didn't ask to be in charge of someone like you." Salura tilted her head. "Someone like me. You're powerful," he said, strange, half weapon, half woman. "And sometimes, I don't know which part is winning." She didn't look offended. I asked myself the same question. Silence stretched between them. Outside, wind howled through narrow cracks in the rock. John finally said, "You told me I could press this and take full control, override everything, make you obey." She nodded. "Yes. If the collar dies, I'll return to my executioner state. The bond would stop that." He looked at her. "But you'd lose yourself." "Not all," she said softly. "I'd still be me, just silent, like a mind watching itself obey." John frowned. "Sounds like a nightmare." She looked into the fire. "We were trained not to dream." He stood up, pacing. "There has to be another way. Some way to fix the collar, or remove the sleeper core." Salura shook her head. "The system was built by my creators. Only a bondmaster can stop the countdown now. It was meant to make us tools, not people." He clenched his fist. "But you are a person." She smiled faintly. "That's why I chose you." John looked up. "You keep saying that. Why me? Why not someone stronger, smarter? You could have forced anyone." She stood now, slowly, like a queen rising from silence. "You didn't chain me," she said. "You saved me without knowing what I was. You gave me food, rest, and name. No one has ever treated me like a person." John stepped back. "I'm not a hero." "No," she said. "You're something better. You're human." Her eyes met his. There was no glow now, just emotion. "Something real." John looked down at the control disc again. His thumb hovered over the button. "If I press this," he said, "I could stop the explosion. Save a city, maybe the whole world." "Yes," she said. "But I'd control you forever." "Maybe," she replied. "Or maybe just long enough to save us both." He stared at the fire. The shadows danced on the cave walls. "I don't want to own you," he whispered. She took a step closer. "Then trust me." Suddenly, a sharp beep from his pocket. The tracker, the signal from the buried sleeper core, had changed. He pulled out the screen. Self-activation. 22 hours remaining. His face paled. "It's moving faster." Salura touched her collar. "It's responding to the hunters. Their energy charges the countdown. We have less than a day." John looked at her. "So what now? We wait for the end?" "No," she said. "We fight it, together, you and me." He hesitated. "Even without the full bond?" She smiled, not the trained smile of a weapon, but something gentle. "Yes, because now I know who I want to be." He stared at her for a long moment. Then, without a word, he handed her the control disc. She looked at him, confused. "You hold it now," he said. "If I ever need to stop you, I'll ask you to give it back. But until then, I trust you more than the machine." She looked down at the disc in her hand. Then, for the first time, tears rose in her glowing eyes. "You've freed me, without freeing me." John chuckled. "Yeah, I guess I'm weird like that." Salura nodded. "Then let's stop the countdown. As partners, not slave and master," John said. "Not anymore," she replied. "Now we choose who we are." The fire behind them cracked, bright and hot. Outside the cave, the air shimmered far above. The black ship moved again, and this time, it was not alone. The sky above the forest turned red. Not from fire, not from the sun, from the ship's. Two massive alien vessels hovered silently above the treetops. They cast dark shadows across miles of wilderness. Their hulls were smooth and black, with sharp blue lines glowing like veins. No sound came from them, but their presence was deafening. John stood at the cave entrance, staring upward. "They're here," he said. Salura stepped beside him, calm but tense. Her collar glowed orange now. The countdown continued inside her. "I know these ships," she whispered. "One belongs to the Void Court. The other is worse." John turned to her. "Worse than the ones who made you a living weapon?" She didn't answer. Instead, she stepped back into the cave and pulled a long blade from her bag. Not metal, but crystal, humming softly. Her hands moved quickly, expertly. She checked her armor straps, tied her hair, and closed her eyes in focus. John followed her. "We need a plan. We shut down the sleeper core. Destroy the collar. Then Salura interrupted. The collar must stay. He paused. But it's failing. It's hurting you. Her eyes opened. Exactly. And they're watching me through it. John frowned. Who? She didn't blink. Everyone. Suddenly, a soft voice echoed from John's pocket. Unknown signal detected. Link established. Opening channel. He grabbed a small device. The screen blinked, then showed a blurry face. Not human. Pale skin. Bright silver eyes. It spoke in perfect English. John Carter. This is Commander Eshel of the Void Court. You hold our stolen asset. John's heart raced. Stolen. The unit known as Laura. She is not what she told you. Laura stepped forward, shut it off, but the voice continued. She was not betrayed. She did not escape. She volunteered for the executioner program. John turned to her. Is that true? She looked away. The voice grew sharper. She led the massacre on Urian 3. She chose to erase children. Entire colonies. She earned her collar. John felt cold. You said you were forced. Salura's voice cracked. I was, at first, but later I believed in it. The device fell silent. John stared at her. You lied. She stepped back. No, I changed. I swear. You could have told me. I wanted to. But I was afraid. Afraid you'd leave me. Afraid you'd press the command and make me something worse. John clenched his fists. And now, what are you now? She shook her head. I don't know. He stepped closer. Are you here to help me, or finish the mission? She looked broken. I'm here to stop it with you. Suddenly, the cave shook. A beam of light shot from one of the ships, blasting the forest. Fire spread across the trees. Salura grabbed John and pulled him down just as another pulse hit the ground nearby. Earth flew into the air. Stones cracked. They're not waiting anymore, she shouted. They're forcing activation. John stood, dizzy. If the collar fails, you'll lose control. Then bond me now, she shouted. Before it's too late. He stared at the control disc in her hand. The one he had given her. She held it out to him. Take it, she cried. End this. But he didn't move. He looked into her eyes. How do I know this isn't part of the lie? He asked. Tears welled in her glowing eyes. You don't. Another blast shook the cave. Salura fell to her knees, screaming. Her collar glowed red now, blinking fast. John rushed to her, holding her shoulders. What's happening? She gasped. The core is unlocking. In my mind, I can hear the old code. John's hand hovered over the control disc. Tell me to stop. She shook her head, barely able to speak. Do it, or I'll kill you. His heart pounded. Her body began to rise from the ground, floating, shaking, glowing brighter and brighter. Then he pressed the disc. A blinding flash exploded through the cave. A pulse of light hit her collar. Salura screamed. The collar glowed white, then went silent. She collapsed. John fell beside her. Salura. She opened her eyes. They were no longer glowing, just human, soft, clear. I'm here, she whispered. Are you under my control now? He asked carefully. She smiled faintly. No, you didn't activate control. You activated bond. John blinked. What's the difference? I still choose, she whispered. But now, I choose you. Suddenly, above the cave, the ships stopped firing. Inside the control room of the lead vessel, an officer turned. She has bonded with a human, he said. We've lost the core, the commander hissed. Then we take the human. He is now the key. The earth trembled beneath their feet. Far above the forest, the two alien ships lowered through thick clouds. Their underbellies opened, revealing columns of light and rows of soldiers inside, metal-skinned, hollow-eyed, ready to finish what the Void Court had started. Inside the cave, John stood beside Laura. Her collar now glowed soft white, no longer a prison, but a symbol of choice. The bond had been made, but the enemy didn't care. They're coming for me, said quietly. But now, they need you too. John nodded. Because the bond made me part of the system. You are the override key now, she said. They want your DNA to access the sleeper core. A deep rumble echoed through the valley. One of the ships released a spike-shaped device that shot into the ground. Tunneling drones muttered. They'll break through in minutes. John clenched his jaw. Then we end this now. He reached into his backpack and pulled out the only weapon they had left. The command detonator from the crash site. A last resort device, linked to the sleeper core. It could destroy everything within 10 kilometers. Including them. You can't use that, Salura said, stepping forward. You'll die. John looked at her. If they get the core, they'll destroy Earth. This is bigger than us. She shook her head. There's another way. I can merge with the core, lock it from inside. You'll die. Not right away, she said. I'll become part of the machine. Trapped, but conscious. John's voice cracked. That's worse. She smiled gently. But the world will live. He turned away. There has to be another choice. There isn't, she whispered. Outside, the cave ceiling cracked. A beam of light sliced through the stone. A metallic arm reached down, clawing through the earth. Salora grabbed John's face, holding it close to hers. I was created for death, she said. But you taught me life. John's hands shook. You saved me too. She pressed her forehead to his. Then let me do this. For your world. He didn't answer, just held her tight. One final embrace. Then she stepped back. I love you, she said softly, almost surprised by the words. John blinked, heart frozen. What? She smiled. Strange, isn't it a weapon? Learning to feel. Then she turned and ran toward the tunnel. Inside the ship's buried chamber, the sleeper core sat in the center, pulsing violently. Lines of alien code raced across its surface. The countdown read, 0 hours, 9 minutes, and 47 seconds. Salora entered, stepping into the chamber like a queen walking to the throne. She placed her hand on the sphere. It lit up, recognizing her touch. Executioner class. Confirm merge. She looked up once, as if toward the sky. Yes, she whispered. For Earth. Light engulfed her. The core opened, and Salora vanished into it. Outside, John stood at the cave's mouth, watching the ships begin to power down. The soldiers paused. The drones froze. Something had changed. Then, through his wrist device, a final message blinked. Bond confirmed. Core locked. Target safe. Goodbye, John. He read the words again, and again she was gone. But she had done it. Salora, the killer, the weapon, the slave, had saved Earth. Not by command, by choice. 1 year later. John sat in a quiet field where the forest once stood. The land was peaceful again. Birds in the trees, grass underfoot. People called him the man who stopped the sky from falling. But he didn't feel like a hero. He missed her every day. He had returned to his cabin, rebuilt it, and kept the cave sealed. No one ever found the sleeper core, or what remained of SAE's Lura, until today. His laptop beeped an old signal from deep beneath the earth. Memory echo online. Plain saved fragment. The screen flickered. Salura's face appeared, soft, glowing, smiling. If you're seeing this, then I survived inside the system. John froze. I don't know how long I'll last. My mind is fading. But I want you to know, I remember everything. You saved me from myself. She paused, her voice gentler. You didn't just give me a new purpose. You gave me a soul. She looked away, then back. One day, maybe when your people are ready, I'll return. Not as a weapon, not as a slave, but as a friend. She smiled one last time. I'm still yours, John. Not by code, by choice. The screen went dark. John sat there, eyes wet, heart full. For the first time in a long time, he smiled.